to stay.
Hello and welcome back to Beyond Boards, a podcast dedicated to the actions and interests of skaters beyond skateboarding. My guest today needs no introduction. Anthony Van Engelen, aka Ave, is simply one of the best skateboarders of all time. He has had an absolutely flawless career spanning nearly 3 decades. After 15 years in Alien Workshop, in 2013 he joined his good friend Jason Dill on his journey to transform his brand Fucking Awesome into a board brand. Since then, FA and its sister company Hockey have become 2 of the best known and most respected brands in skateboarding history. At 46 years old, despite a busy schedule managing a business and raising 2 kids, Anthony is skating better than ever and shows no signs of slowing down anytime soon. So here's my conversation with Ave. I hope you'll enjoy it. Start with this first one.
Hi, Papa. What was your first trick that you ever done in your whole entire life? And also, how did you get your first skateboard?
Wow, yeah, that was cool, man, on her.
Yeah.
This first trick of my entire life, I mean, I don't know.
Probably a shove it or a little ollie or something?
Well, I probably just going like doing the slappy up the curb on the board with your board, right? To like before even the ollie, like
yeah.
Finally like, oh wow, I can, I don't have to get off my skateboard and pick it up to get up this thing, just kind of slam into it. So I guess if you want to call that a trick,
yeah,
that was it. But the first real trick I ever did, like a flipped my board, was a varial heel flip off of 3 stairs.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, but and then what did my daughter say? My first board?
First board, yeah.
How did I get my first board?
I think so, yeah. And I think it's a Vision Lee Ralph, right? I think you've mentioned this.
That was my first board. It was my birthday, and my stepdad asked me on my birthday, like, oh, what do you want? Like, and I was like, for some reason I had it in my head, I was like, I want a skateboard, but like a professional. Go to like a real skate shop and get it, and so he's like, okay, cool. He gave me $100 and told me to bring him $50 back. But I had the night before, he had a bunch of friends over playing poker. I've told this story before, but and like I kind of got helped through some hands, and I had $80 from that night before. So with the 50 and the 80,
you had enough to afford a proper board.
Yeah, and I went down to. There was an old skate shop here. Lido Surf and Skate is in Newport Beach on the Lido Peninsula, and cool shop. Like Gons has like footage and video days. Like literally, like half a block up, there was like a gap out of this Bank of America, and he has footage from kind of all over that little zone in video days. So it was definitely like a cool shop and little area at the time.
Okay, let's do this next one.
Hey Anthony, this is Miki Vuckovich. I just wondered if you could talk a little bit about how your time in St. Petersburg, Russia in the early 90s influenced your trajectory and your career as a skater, and maybe talk a little bit about what the day-to-day was like there, traveling around on the metro, skating all the monuments and granite plazas and spots at a time when it was just an insane, lawless period in that country. This was back when... just for your listeners' benefit, this was back when Vladimir Putin was deputy mayor of St. Petersburg. Thanks.
Oh man, wow, that's cool. Man, you got some cool people.
Yeah, hopefully.
Miki was actually, I don't even know if I've actually ever met Miki, and if we have, he's probably gonna be like, "You asshole." I met that one time, but in person.
He helped you connect with some skaters in Russia, right? Back in the day?
Yeah. So if we did meet, it was after that time period. But I must have talked to him on the phone, and he helped connect me with a guy over there.
Okay.
I wasn't skating too much when I went, but I brought some stuff. I didn't bring everything that you need I didn't have like a full setup. I wasn't like ready to go, it wasn't my main concern going there. Like
sure.
The reason for me to even go at the time was, I was kind of fucking up, I wasn't doing well at home, and, not going to, pretty much dropped out of high school, not working, and just kind of partying and getting away with it a little bit, but it was kind of coming down to the wire. My mom was like, you got to get a job or go to school. And my stepdad, they weren't together anymore, but he'd check in periodically, and he started, even when they were together, he did like business abroad, like all kinds of weird stuff. He was an immigration lawyer. And so that brought him all over the world, kind of getting into other businesses, helping immigrate people here and stuff, to do all kinds of stuff. But at that time, a lot of Americans, maybe Europeans, like I'm sure people from all over the world ended up in Russia because
the market was opening up.
It was definitely like a kind of like a gold rush period, like a lot of business was opening up, and opportunities, and I'm sure a lot of people, found a lot of success in that, but nobody's doing any business there unless you aren't, working with mobsters. Everything is someone's paying somebody to protect them. So that was it was it was lawless in that sense of like, it was run by gangsters, So he was there, and at that time, he kind of checked in. He's like, he talked to my mom, and he's just like, look, man, like, if you don't want to go to school and you don't want to work, you can come over here. Yeah. Because his idea was, one of the many things he was doing over there, he was trying to open a restaurant. He was doing some other things too, which I won't necessarily get into, but...
the first ever Mexican restaurant, I read, right?
Yeah, that was his thing. He had a friend who had opened some restaurants too, and it never happened. And I'm not sure. I haven't talked to him exactly why it didn't happen. But during that time period, he was doing quite a few things there. Like I think a lot of people were like just trying to see what hits, But anyways. The idea was I come there, I had to stay for a year. That was his thing. Yeah. And, he was a funny guy. Like, he was kind of a hard ass. He was in the Marine Corps. He went to Vietnam. Like he was anyway, so it was very much like, you got to get your shit together, So I was like, fuck it. I'll go over there. Like I'll go
check it out.
Like, and immediately when I got there, I was just like, oh man, this is gnarly, because I hadn't really, I'd been to Mexico a lot, all over Mexico, like as a young kid, with him. So I had seen other places, and I understood that, not everything's like Southern California, and how people live and the opportunities and stuff like that. But still, I was still just a fucking spoiled brat, like, so going over there was quite a shock. And immediately I went to work. He had, there was a nightclub there, and some British guys ran the bar. It was a Nigerian-owned nightclub, and it was like basically, like it was kind of like people aren't wearing like name tags, mobster, but like you kind of got the vibe that like, okay, like that's pretty much the people that are in here for the most part, kind of that world, because to be affording to even go to a nightclub, is so. And then there was a lot of like, and then all the girls in there, like, they were working girls. They weren't, it wasn't like they were like some crazy like looking prostitutes or anything, but like you knew what they were doing too, so it was a whole thing. And I worked there a few days a week, and the whole idea was that they were going to eventually open this restaurant, and I would manage the bar, and I was going to, whatever, just be there. I found my way in life, right? I got my purpose, right?
Were you learning Russian while you were there?
Yeah, I was. Not from like he had a friend there who was also assistant, this lady, and she was Russian, and she would kind of help teach me. And but she wasn't a teacher. I remember being super like kind of frustrated at times, just having this job, because I wasn't very much of a learner at the time when it came to things like sitting down and writing and doing stuff like that. I learned enough to get people's drinks around the bar, and that's it. By no means could I have a conversation.
Right. Okay.
So, you know, I'd work there a few days a week, and that was kind of it. And then the skate end of things, like, I did eventually make my way out to, I forget the guy's name, but to Mickey's contact out there, who was a full skater. And I took the trams or whatever, their metro system, way out into a kind of a suburb. Met up with this kid, and he was like, leave what you have, and I'll put the board together for you. I feel like I didn't even have trucks. I had board and wheels.
But no trucks? Okay.
I don't think I had trucks, and I didn't have grip tape. And I don't know, I probably didn't have hardware. So I came back, and like I like mix match trucks, like probably like a Veriflex truck and like a fucking, who knows. It was crazy. And then like red sandpaper glued to the board. And we skated, and there was like, they had these metal ramps in a parking lot, like literally outside the building he lived in. And I skated there, I think like maybe 1 or 2 times I went out there, and then just it was a far kind of a mission to get out there. And I just didn't really get back out there. And we lived in the center of St. Petersburg in the city, you know, so there was kind of this little spot not too far from where I was. So I would skate there a little bit, and it wasn't a good spot. And then one night and this is in the summertime, it doesn't get dark at night.
Right.
It's so high up there in the Baltic region, like just they call it white nights. It just stays light out.
Right.
You know, so it feels like it's just kind of afternoon, you know, but it'll be like
1
in the morning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or 1 a.m, whatever. But so one night one afternoon, I was like probably out trying to skate a little bit or whatever. And then I used to go to this park, and like I would just get like, because you could just buy beer there. And I'd go like fucking, because I didn't have any friends. I went to work at this thing, kind of learned Russian, and then just kind of cruised around. It was weird. And I got like 3 or 4 beers, and I just drank them in this park. And then I was walking, and this dude was like, "You're American," like, "Oh my God," like whatever. And he's like, "Come have a drink with me." So we started drinking, and like I was fucking blacked out. And last thing I remember was just kind of they had these like metal kiosks in the middle of, like on the side of a sidewalk, wherever, and they would serve like hard alcohol out of some of them, or beers, whatever. They were just like all cut out, and like a drink would come out, you know. And that's the last thing I kind of remember. And I went home, and I remember my stepdad, I was like, "Where the fuck have you been?" Like, and I was like, "What do you mean?" And it's like, "The sun's still out." Yeah. "What do you mean, where have I been?" He's like, "It's 3 a.m, like, and you're fucking shit-faced, you know?" And I was like, "No, I'm not." And like, he's like, "Where's your stuff? Like, you left with a backpack?" And like, I was just like, "I don't know." Like, and he's just like, "Go to bed." And so I woke up in the morning throwing up stuff. So I really like drank that night. And I lost my skateboard, and I don't know how far into the trip it was. So then that was the end of skating out there.
Shit, yeah.
And I think I was out there, like, I think I lasted like 4 months or something. And then I kind of talked my way into coming home on the idea I was going to return. And I just did not return.
Yeah.
But I think to Mickey's question, like returning home after that experience, even it being, you know, but I mean, hey, when you're 17, 18 years old, 4 months is a long fucking time.
Yeah.
Especially in such a foreign
environment.
Like, or it's just like, and a lot of alone time too, to really kind of like think about whatever, you know, like, where I'm going, what I'm doing. And I don't think I had like any solid like revelations like about what that was when I get back to the United States. But I most certainly returned with just a different perspective and a huge gratitude.
Yeah.
Like for where I live, you know, and
an appreciation for where you lived and what you had access to.
And I thought about skating a lot, and skating at home and spots that I had skated, and things that would be like tricks and stuff. So I would think about that shit a lot. And when I came back, I remember I put a board together, and then I just really fell back in love with skating.
Yeah.
You know, like I had never probably before felt the way that I did about it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that just had to do with that whole experience, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, just an appreciation for those little things, like, you know, like skating and my friends and like whatever, just
access to like American food and all that stuff. Yeah.
No, totally. Because it was a huge culture shock, especially at that time. Like I was there when like McDonald's opened. Yeah. And sat in the line like around the block, like to go and eat at McDonald's. Like that's what it was like there. It was just like, you know. So,
do you remember what year that was? Was that like around 96, 97, around there?
More like 95. I remember I was there. And I remember reading in a newspaper Tupac had been shot.
Oh, wow.
so I think he died in 95.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Okay.
So I was there, and I read that in the USA Today. It's before the internet and all that stuff, and I don't think that was on their news channels.
Probably not, no.
So it was a trip. It was cool.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, like you said, I think I mean, from my understanding, it looks like once you came back to the U.S., you had a different appreciation for what you had, and it really kind of it was the switch that you needed to really focus on skating. And I believe before you went to Russia, you were skating. Obviously, I think you were even sponsored, but not really determined or not really exploring that seriously. And once you came back, you were like, okay, let's do this. Like, let's skate hard. Let's get some tricks.
Yeah, I think, you know, before I never felt like, you know, all the people that I looked up to growing up skating were, you know, they just felt like it was just a different, like that was just, if you weren't going to be that, like, you know, so I just didn't really have any real aspiration to be a pro. I was sponsored. I liked it. You know, for sure, like if I could be anything, it would be like to be with guys that I looked up to, but it just seemed so far away and like not an obtainable thing, you know, so I never really took it that serious. And I don't even think when I returned, all of a sudden it was like, okay, here we go. Like it just slowly, I just started skating so much. Mm-hmm. And it almost seemed like I got better without skating for that long period of time. Like, but I know it was passion and, you know, and now dedicating a ton of time, probably more time than I ever had before. And then obviously when you're at that age too, it's just like, you know, 17, 18, you're going through a big growth spurt, you know, and things are just changing fast. And so all those things kind of coming together kind of made me into a much different skateboarder than I was before I had left.
Right.
As far as ability and stuff like that, and then slowly it became like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Yeah. But definitely that trip, that time period was kind of the catalyst, I think, for, you know, but why I'm sitting here now, for sure.
Okay, let's do this next one.
What up, Anthony? This is your Japanese brother speaking.
Wow.
Well, going back in 93, did you really land a no-slide down on a kink rail at a HP high school?
Yeah, I did that. I wonder if Kunjiro was even there. I feel like he would have been there because he's the only one who had a car. Mm-hmm. Unless we took the bus. I don't know. But yeah, I did that. Someone was there. And then I tried to do it again because no one believed me. And then I racked myself on the kink and fell on my head.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
So for the listeners, this was Kunjiro Eguchi. I hope I'm not butchering his name, but
yeah, that's it.
He was a skater friend of yours from back then, right? Like
yeah, he went to high school here in the States in California, and he moved to Irvine, California, and that's where I was living at that time. And we ran into each other out front, right by UCI, mm-hmm. which like obviously is a super famous skate spot. Yeah. But there was an In-N-Out right there, and on the corner, I remember the day I met him. And he was like obviously older, had the Nodus 101 board, like just, you know, the gear was right, everything, and it was just like, we need to know this guy. Like we made him ollie. We stacked our boards up right on the spot. And we're like, ollie him. We know you can. Let's see it. Mm-hmm. And so that was how I met Kunjiro, and yeah, I mean, I was probably fucking, God, how old was I then? I mean,
15.
Maybe in 7th grade. Like I was in junior high and he was going to high school and whatever. But yeah, no, I spent a lot of time with him while he was here. And obviously every time I go to Japan, I see him.
Yeah. And I read that he actually kind of told you not to push Mongo anymore or something along those lines. Is that true?
Yeah, he did. So I might have even been in 6th grade when I met him, which is like, that's the funny dynamic of skating, right? It's like you got guys that are in high school hanging out with like, oh, because you ride a skateboard, like, oh, you're in 6th grade? All right, come on, you freak. Like, but yeah, no, I pushed Mongo, so it must have been around that time. And he was like, you got to stop doing that.
That's not going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, so I remember it was really hard to undo it, but I was just, I was like determined, so yeah, no more Mongo.
All right, let's do this one.
What's up, Anthony? This is Shawn Mandoli. Hey, before I ask my question, I just want to give Anthony a quick shout out. We did a skateboard giveaway some time ago during COVID, and Anthony hooked us up with a bunch of completes. And so just wanted to say thank you, man. You didn't have to do that. It's always fulfilling to get skateboards in the hands of kids, especially in the hood. So thank you, man. My question is kind of based on the era when we were skating together a little bit. In the mid-'90s, we were skating together a bit when I was living in Orange County. And you were ripping, filming and all that. And just wondering at that time, we were probably early 20s, late teens, like real early 20s. So back then in your mind as a skater, obviously pursuing this skate life. And so just wondering, did you have in your mind there like a plan B? Like, did you think that through at all back then? Like, hey, if this doesn't pan out, this skate thing, this skate career, did you have okay, I'm going to go do this? Or were you just, just going, okay, I'm going to figure it out, but I'm all in with this skateboard thing. And so my second question is, just wanted to know what you enjoy most about fatherhood. What are you enjoying most about being a dad? And so honored to be here and to ask you a question, man. All right. Love you. Peace.
Oh, that's rad. Sean's awesome. Yeah, dude, plan B, like, no. I don't even have one of those still.
It's worked out well for you so far, so yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, now that I'm like, the age I'm at and have kids and all that stuff, like, and I look back on it all, a lot of it, man, it's like, yeah, I've worked hard and stuff, but it for sure, like, but man, there's been a lot of, like, I've had a lot of opportunities, and I was able to take those opportunities, and a lot of, if you want to call it luck, whatever, because I've been doing this for a long fucking time now, and that most certainly was never, I don't think at that age I thought that far ahead, like as to what I'll be doing when I'm in my 40s or even my, late 20s, at that time. But I think I was just kind of more focused on the nearer future, was like, hey, I'm going to do this for now, but I mean, again, like I never went back to school. Like I pursued it full on, but I don't know if I really ever like gave it much thought, you know what I mean? But I always remember being very worried, and I still am even now, like because it's so reliant on your physical, ability, and all of that stuff. But yeah, no, I mean, I never really had any type of other plan, and I don't even know if skateboarding was always supposed to be the long-term plan either. It just happened to work out.
Yeah.
And then,
what you enjoy most about fatherhood?
Oh, I mean, everything really. It's, yeah, like I think about it often, I mean, that's another great thing about skateboarding. It's like there's times when you're working really hard, but there's also a lot of freedom in it. And I get to spend a lot of time with my children, and that's awesome. And like the old saying goes, it goes by quick, and it does. And now that I'm in it, it's like I really try to stay present and enjoy it. Because, really, like, by the time they're 13, 14, like that's kind of the window. I mean, they're still around and stuff, but like, between birth and that age, like you're like the center of their life, and then they got friends and they move on and all that stuff, and it just changes. So like I try to really stay focused and conscious of that. So yeah, I mean, it's awesome. there's so many. It's such a big question, you know, and there's just so much to it. But it's even just the simple things that if I didn't have kids, that I wouldn't find the enjoyment again. But because I get to see them having that experience for the first time, it's so like rewarding.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
like to you know, where it's like if I didn't have kids, I'd just be jaded, and that thing that excites a kid wouldn't even register to me, you know. But to see, you know, my kids be like about just the most basic of shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, they're having this experience the first time right now. It's so exciting for them, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's all of it. It's kids are awesome. I'm super blessed, and you know, both my kids are a blast.
How old are they now? I think your daughter's like around
my
7,
daughter is
right? 6, 7?
Yeah, my daughter is 7, and my son is like 3.5.
Okay. Still a bit of time until they turn 13, 14. Yeah, at least 10 years.
Yeah, for sure. yeah, definitely.
Well, talking about fatherhood, I have this next question is from Rudy Mosqueda. Is that how you say his name? Your stepdad?
Oh, wow. How the hell did you find
I dug deep.
Oh my God. Wow.
So let's see. He asked a couple of things. He said, where were you when you bloodied your head?
I think we were in Mexico. I don't know where in Mexico we were, but his nephews, God, who was it? I think it was his, I guess they would be my cousins. We weren't blood related, but they pretty much were they're almost like big brothers. They tortured me.
Okay.
But I think it was like Philip and Randy. I don't know where we were. I don't know if we were in like Mazatlan or somewhere. And I don't know what even happened, but it wasn't the first time these guys did something, tortured me, beat me up to where like I split my head open.
Oh, wow.
But this, you know, all in good fun. But definitely it was rough, you know, but they were teenagers. I was a little kid, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I split my head open, and not like crazy, like, oh my God, they got to get to this guy to a fucking hospital. But stitches were needed, you know. And some lady stitched me up at her house.
Oh, wow.
And I'm pretty sure she did, unless she put like some sort of butterfly Band-Aid on. But I wanted to say that I got stitched up, and I slept in a hammock that night. I just remember and I remember just being kind of bloody. But I remember Rudy when he was so pissed at them, like,
yeah,
because you know, of course, we come walking back in, and I'm fucking bleeding, and he's just like, "Oh my
what
God,
have you done
what you guys
now?"
do to him?" You know? Yeah, exactly. But same got Philip, who was, I think he was there. I'd split my eye open once because he was chasing me through the house with a bug, like a dead cockroach or something. I was just like, no. And he was chasing me, and I was running, looking behind, and then I turned around, and boom, there was a piano in the house. I smacked my face on the piano, and then had to get stitches on my eye, right or left, I can't remember, but yeah.
Wow. Intense childhood right there.
Yeah, whatever.
His next question is, where were you when you and Danny Way, the guy that jumped from a helicopter with a skateboard, when you were touring to promote your new video?
When I saw Rudy, it was in Frankfurt, Germany. I think he was living there at the time, unless he was visiting and still was in Russia. I can't remember.
So that must have been around 03, right? I think DC video was around there. Yeah.
Yeah, and he met up with us for that premiere, and then I don't know. I mean, his son is German, so around that time, like him and my mom went together for a super long time, and then he married a German lady and lived in Frankfurt for quite some time, and then was kind of traveling back and forth between Russia and there. Okay. At that time of the DC video, I caught up with him there.
Okay. Yeah, that made an impression on him, particularly Danny Way, apparently, yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And his last question is, what is Dominic's nightclub?
That's the bar I worked in
Russia?
St. Petersburg.
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
Or the nightclub, yeah.
Let's see, this one is from Lance Dawes. It's a simple question. He said, how did you get the nickname Chobi?
Oh my God. That was like an old nickname. It actually is from like elementary school. I mean, it, like when I tell you the story, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's something, you know, a 7-year-old would think is funny. But they used to call me, instead of Anthony, they call me Anchovy. And then later that same group of people became skaters and whatever, and we were all like together, and it just got shortened.
Okay.
So it was just like a stupid play on my name. And then, but the reason Dawes even knows it is because that group of people, I kind of like at around 16 kind of just started going so heavily skate. They mostly went into like surfing and stuff. And so there was a fork in the road. And so that nickname kind of got left at 16. And then one night we were out skating all night in LA, and I was with like Carol and Dawes and I don't know who else. And it was like 2 a.m. or something. And we pulled up to a gas station liquor store, and like 2 dudes that I grew up with were wasted, and obviously had been out at like bars and clubs, whatever. And they were like, "What the fuck, Joby?" And I was just like, "Oh my God!" And then Carol and Dawes were like, "What the fuck?" And they were like, these guys had on like silk button-up shirts, like dragons and shit on them.
Oh wow!
They were just like, "Who are these dudes?" And like,
secret life you don't know about or something.
Yeah. No, it really was. I'm just trying. I'm like, it's a long story, whatever.
Okay, this one is from Freddy from Heckride. Let's see, he said, "Hey Ave, big fan. I've probably seen and read every interview you've ever had, so I'll try to ask something different." Okay, so his first question is, as someone that is really good at switch skating, do you notice that throughout all your footage over the years, you have clips pushing switch mongo and regular switch? Is it something you notice that you do back and forth, considering people are usually one or the other? And I think you've mentioned this in another interview that I watched a few days ago, but...
Yeah, no, it's just I'll switch to whatever direction feels comfortable when I'm doing it. I don't even consciously think about it.
Yeah.
I think when we first started skating switch back in the day, we did the switch mongo push to alert people that this is switch dance.
This is switch. Yeah,
you know what I mean? I think that's why we did that. I just followed what everybody else did.
Yeah.
And everybody pushed switch mongo when it was time to skate switch. So I just like when I unlearned mongo, I learned to push switch mongo because that's what everybody did. But then I guess that kind of changed. And then obviously I can do both. And so, I just kind of switched in between them.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't even realize that I did that until someone actually brought that to my attention in some line where I did both. And I was like, oh, that's weird.
Mm-hmm,
I don't know.
Okay, he said also, I remember Anthony Acosta telling me that you guys consider Benny Maglinao to be FA/hockey's secret weapon. Can you elaborate on that, and why do you think he's got such a cult following?
Benny is just one of those, very rare, incredibly talented, and unassuming people.
Mm-hmm.
He's just kind of good at everything. So Benny is most of, all the video stuff you see from FA and hockey, it's all Benny. And, he does all hockey's graphics. He's a great filmer. I remember one time Benny can also you could probably give him a pile of clay and he'll make a cool statue out of it.
Okay.
He's talented like that, can draw really well. It's just, it's kind of endless what that guy can do.
The range of his really cool capabilities.
Yeah. You don't meet people like that all the time, that are just really just fucking good at everything and have a really good take on everything.
How did you first connect with him? He was first a filmer, right? Before he started doing the graphics for hockey? Yeah.
So he filmed and edited. I met him first filming for Minefield, and I think he was working for Etnies or he was working for maybe some Soul Tech thing. I think before, and then he kind of started
coming on workshop trips, or
we're just filming locally. I think he was just getting paid to film with us, and I guess I can't remember what that was, but it was definitely during Minefield. And I remember I started filming with him a bit through that. And then he started to take on a even bigger role at the workshop. And then I think after the video, I don't know how long after, Greg moved on from the workshop. And I think went to Vans.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Benny took his spot. So then it was spending a lot of time with Benny, trips were Benny, and we did that cinematographer project.
Right, yeah, for Transworld.
Yeah, and so it just kind of evolved from there. And then the hockey thing was, like Benny wasn't necessarily like a graphic design, like make skateboards guy, but me and Jason we just knew he could do it. So he just, and at first Jason had a much bigger role in hockey, you know what I mean? As far as like imagery and stuff like that. But Benny kind of took it over pretty quickly and really, made it
his own,
his thing, and kind of learned how to do it all. And then now, like he makes the boards, and like almost all the imagery you see it's Benny.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, super talented.
He's not out in the street as much as I think he'd like to anymore, because just he's doing all that. He's behind the computer a lot, doing a lot of editing.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy does a fucking lot. It's gnarly, but yeah, it used to be like we'd just be out in the streets skating like every day, all day. That was just it, and then he transitioned over into kind of just running that whole thing.
Okay, this one is from John Fitzgerald. Let's see, he said, "It's late and you're starving and there's no food in the fridge. Where are you going and what's the order?"
It's late, I'm starving, and there's no food in the fridge. Shit, I don't know. I don't really ever do that one. I haven't been in that position in a minute, but that might be, a time when you're doing something you normally wouldn't do. I don't know. Might be like a weird Del Taco run or something like that. Yeah, I might be getting a quesadilla, a French fry boat, and some tacos. The more interesting would be that exact question to him. I'm not going to be that interesting of an answer, but the kind of damage that guy can do to food.
That's I heard
in a
about
situation like that would be the more interesting question.
Yeah. I think I saw a piece where he was at a restaurant somewhere and eating a crazy amount of food. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
He does that all the time. It's insane. But then he won't eat. Most days he doesn't eat till like 2 p.m. Just lives off a pot of coffee and skates all day. I don't know how he does it. But then he'll, if you go to In-N-Out, he will get 8 double-doubles.
Oh my God.
It's just like, no fries, just 8, or like, he will do these. Yeah, it's crazy.
He said, "I'll bet it's Carl's Jr. and a bacon western."
No, I don't even know if I would do. I haven't had a bacon western in years. I love those things, but I don't even think I would do that to myself late night.
Not anymore.
No, I don't know. Del Taco's might be as dirty as it gets late night, unless I can find it In-N-Out or something.
Okay, this one is from Aaron Meza. Let's see, he said, "Did Sal ever drive by Buffalo Exchange and see you carrying in a bag full of Elwood gear? If so, what did he say, and how much did you make that day? Love you, bud."
Well, how did Sal see what's inside a black bag while he's driving by? I don't but anyways, I don't know. I don't remember. Maybe he went in after me and was like, "Let me see what that guy sold you."
Yeah.
I don't know. For sure, everybody went to Buffalo Exchange and unloaded and survived, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm probably. Probably.
Let's see, this one is from Ewan Bowman. He said, "What is the highest amount of hard-boiled eggs you've ever eaten in one go?"
I don't know. Maybe 5. I think 4 is a more reasonable, like, kind of common number.
Okay.
For me, but yeah, maybe 5.
He asked a couple other things. He said, "Can you remember the first switch tray flip you ever did, and how did it feel?"
I don't remember the first switch tray flip I ever did. No. But I was determined to learn them after a guy's house party.
Yeah.
So it took me like a year, it was such a difficult trick. It didn't take me a year to land it. It just took me a year to have it consistently on lock.
Yeah.
And like trying to figure out a technique for it. I was just so determined to have that trick.
Yeah.
So
What about regular tray flips? Can you still do those, or are they kind of just?
Yeah, I
harder
can still
than-
do a regular tray flip. It's always. I mean, when it usually like comes out in a game of skate, and usually somebody else is doing it, and I got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I abandoned some regular stance tricks, which is because I was so just like, I'll just do this.
Yeah, the switch version is better.
Which is stupid. I wish I would have never done that. Like, because I had a really good kickflip, and now my kickflip sucks. It just sucks because I never did it. It's like, dude, it's such a basic thing.
Yeah, but you need to keep doing them.
And I for sure could have done bigger and better regular kickflips than what I can do switch, but I don't know why. I just got lazy. I abandoned it. And I used to have a really great heel flip too.
Oh yeah?
Okay. Backside kickflip. I had these basic regular stance flip tricks, which I just got so obsessed with doing switch flips, switch heels, switch trays that I don't know. I just abandoned these.
Left them behind, yeah.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And his last question, Ewan's last question is, what's the fastest time you got on a 2K row?
Oh, dude, I don't even know.
So what is that? Is that like a rowing machine or something?
Yeah, on a rower. I don't go by my time. I just kind of row pretty intensely for a set time, and that's it. I don't really pay attention to that. But Ewan's very much into CrossFit, so
okay.
I'm sure he's looking at his row times and all that stuff. That's very much a CrossFit tool, the rower.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, let's do this one.
Here's the question. Anthony, how is it being so rad?
Is that Olson?
Yes.
Oh, fuck. I can't answer a question like that. I don't even know.
Please
You can never tell it, Olson. I don't know. Is he
rad.
making fun of me? I don't know. I haven't seen Steve in years.
There you go. Okay, changing gears. This one is from your mom. She asked a couple things. She said, Anthony loves to cook. So how about asking him to name 3 people, dead or alive, to have over for dinner, and why and what are you cooking?
Oh my God. I don't even know. Well, I usually my go-to is the ribeye steak.
Mm-hmm.
I think dead or alive, just my family. I would love to have my mom over and my stepdad Reggie and the family. My mom lives in Chicago now, so we don't get to see her as much. And I think it would just be kind of that group of people. I'd probably be doing either tri-tip or ribeyes with mashed potatoes and roasted air-fried Brussels sprouts.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Not too fancy. I like it pretty basic stuff, but
But cooked well. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, do a nice reverse sear. Put it in the oven, get it to 110, pull it out, and then either put it in the cast iron or on the barbecue for 2 minutes each side, done.
She said also, if there is one thing you could change in your life, what would it be?
Oh my, geez, one thing I could change? No, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that is a pretty deep question. I don't know.
Hard to answer on the spot, yeah.
I think that I'm sure everybody has one thing. If you had that opportunity to just be okay, you press this change button and maybe not have some event or something that happened. You know what I mean? Sure. I don't want to get into the details of what that exactly is, but I think overall, as I've gotten older and I've looked back on my life, there's certain things that at a time seemed like bad or whatever. But those things are the things who make you who you are.
Yeah,
and if you didn't have those things, maybe you wouldn't have been who you are. And
yeah, exactly.
Who fucking knows? So it's kind of silly to, do all that. I think another part of that question is I think I have changed a lot of things questions like this, obviously, it implies something that was bad or whatever, And so I think I've had the opportunity to change, and I've taken that opportunity, and I've grown a lot, and some people don't, or some people the consequences of the things that they did took them into such a far another life. Like I got to kind of keep my life by changing.
Yeah, sure.
Along the way, you know, and not have too many dire consequences, you know. So yeah, it's a big question.
Yeah, definitely. And her last question is: besides skateboarding, what is your dream job? Is there something that comes to mind that you would have wanted to explore, or maybe in the future?
I mean, in the future, I don't know. I don't know what my dream job would have been. Who knows? I probably would have joined the military or something. I don't know. Like, I feel like usually people like, you know, they kind of, when they're at a crossroads and they're young and they just don't know what to do, they'd be like, well, at least I could go there, learn some shit.
Yeah.
Go, you know, be able to get my college paid for. Like, it's a starting point. Considering where I was as a kid, as a teenager, you know, maybe something like that would have been a path, you know, or whatever. Like, but I don't know. I've never really thought about a dream job. I think I'm doing it, right?
Yeah.
Like, really, that's the answer.
Yeah. That's a good answer. Yeah.
I think as a kid, that was my dream. Was, oh well, if I can get the rent paid and get free product and have the respect of the people, my peers and people that I look up to, that was a dream to me, and I most certainly got to live that dream and still do. So I guess I'm kind of doing it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. This is from me, but this is something I'm interested in asking you, but just because I've been sober myself for 5 years now. I was an alcoholic for a long time, and reading about you going to Russia and having this experience kind of being a catalyst, like we talked about earlier, to you really dedicating yourself to skating once you came back to the States, and really, you know, setting yourself on a path to becoming a pro skater eventually in the years that followed. I was just curious, when you decided to stop drinking, which was, I believe, about 15 years ago or somewhere around there, was there something, a series of events or something that kind of clicked for you where you said, okay, like was there kind of a similar thing that happened, you know, like something that happened at that time in your life where you saw, okay, maybe this is the time to quit drinking, like if I keep drinking, I'm just going to go this dark road. And I was just curious to know what was kind of this pivotal moment for you.
I think obviously there's always things going on. I got sober at 30, so yeah, that was 16 years ago. And I had been in and out of sobriety for already a decade. But I definitely, by the time I got sober, the like as far as active using was concerned, I think the worst of it was behind me. I just kept having these little relapses for a time period, like kind of through Minefield. Like, so I kind of got like stopped doing what I was doing before I started filming for Minefield. It's a good, between the DC video and into the start of Minefield, which I think was about a 2.5 year period, is when it was the darkest of my thing. Like with very little skateboarding, very little seeing anybody from skateboarding. I was just so not good and didn't want to see anybody in that. It just was on a whole different deal. But I think the catalyst for it kind of starting was opportunity, was a lot of things. At the start of Minefield, before that, like I still had sponsors. I was on a probationary contract with DC. And that was kind of coming up, and I doubt with the way I was going that they were going to re-sign me, you know. But in that time period, the Vans thing came up, and I don't even know, and this is like before the internet, all this stuff, so, you know, you could kind of go dark back then, you know, for a year or whatever. Like, we didn't have this constant, like, you know,
pressure
output of skateboarding, you know. Like, it was like the pressure was only on when it was video part time, you know. And I had finished that DC video part, and so, you know, 2.5 years, like, you know, people, they were accustomed to maybe not seeing somebody as much after a big video part. And I think somehow I got some, like, I had a Thrasher cover in that time. So, I mean, I still looked like I was doing stuff from the outside. So anyways, the Vans thing came up, and I think for me, it was what I really wanted to do. I've talked about it before. Like when I kind of started to skate again at that time period, I was like wearing Vans at the skate park because I wasn't filming and stuff. It's like what I want, you know, when we were filming the DC video, you know, I'd done skating, I'd put Eras on and like, I'd be on like DC trips. And I remember Danny Way just being like, that's bullshit, you know? And it was. I look back now and like I'm like, it's like some punk ass shit, you know what I mean? Like, you know, for sure. But whatever. And then then the opportunity came, and I just was like, yes, I want to do this. And I think, you know, like in anybody's life, you things come along and it kind of breathes new life into you, and just, you know, things get, you know, kind of changed up, and so that was kind of the beginning of me like, oh wow, people still believe in me or whatever, you know what I mean? And I kind of started to kind of back out of the woods of like, you know, hardcore drug use daily, and then started to kind of get introduced to the 12-step side of things, but never fully committing, and being, you know, 3 months sober, starting to skate a lot again, then relapse, then sober, then relapse. And so I did that for a long time. Okay. And, you know, it was more for me like, and most alcoholics can relate to, as you get sober, you always think, oh, it was the drugs, it was the alcohol. And it's like, what I started to realize and started to have really bad problems with was being sober, and my manageability of life, relationships, all these things. I just was just like so fucking terrible at all of it, you know, and so depressed and filled with anxiety and like all this stuff. And I was like, oh wow, like alcoholism, yeah, drinking and drugs are a symptom of a bigger problem. You know, it's like my problem is me and being in my own skin. And like when you really have that realization and you're dead bone sober, you're just like, fuck, you know, like so it kind of was like not the most glamorous of, you know, I fucking crashed a car, woke up in jail, two broken arms, and, you know, like all this stuff, you know. It was just like, man, like I need to take some of the direction that people have been trying to throw my way, and actually take some things a little bit more serious, and because I was just sick and tired of like, I had to see if like that program worked for me, you know. So I committed myself to it, and I think by committing myself to it and actually doing it for once, it actually helped me kind of get on to the other side of things and sobriety and try to live a little different.
Yeah,
you know?
No, that's amazing. Yeah, congrats on 16 years it's been, right?
Yeah, congrats to you too, man.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not, but it's worth it. Definitely worth it. So.
For sure, it definitely is. It's definitely a weird journey, and like sometimes I'm like, I don't even know how I did it. Like, because even in discovering stuff in sobriety and making changes and experiencing changes, it's still, life is life. You know what I mean? It gets fucking weird, and it's, you know, man, you know, sometimes it's like, yeah, other people get to take the edge off without such dire consequences, but
yeah.
So you kind of got to always, sobriety forces you to always experience everything in its full,
clarity,
its fullness.
Yeah. All right, let's see. This one is from Farran Golding. So he said, ask Anthony when they had the hat going throughout Minefield, what was his favorite trick that earned him the hat? Is there one that comes to mind?
Well, the only trick that pops into my head, and I don't even know if it was my favorite, but it was pretty good. I did a half cab crooked grind down this green handrail in Atlanta. I think it was like a 12 or 13 stair. I don't know. It was a fucking big rail. Yeah. But we were on this trip. I think it was my first trip since I had an ankle surgery. So I'd been out for quite some time, but I rehabbed. I was skating again. And then this was finally, it was like, okay, we got a trip coming up. And I feel like it was like when we used to do these crazy, like, you know, 3-4 week, like Midwest, South trips through the South when we were filming these videos. And I think it was one of those trips. And it was kind of a rough start. I think we were already a week into it, and I hadn't gotten anything. And then we showed up at this rail at night, and I just got out and I did it relatively quickly too.
Wow.
And but it was a big rail. I remember when I hit the ground, like I bent over like because of the impact. But I remember being pretty stoked on that. That was yeah. So I'm sure I definitely got a stripe for that on the hat.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
It was pretty cool. I was watching the Epically Later where you talk about that, and I didn't know you guys did that before watching that piece, and it was pretty cool to hear you and the other guys talking about. So for the listeners, if they haven't watched Epically Later, you were basically crossing on the hat whenever someone did a trick. That person could have shotgun in the van, right, and select the music and decide where you would go eat and stuff, and kind of drive the full thing, the whole crew.
Which, when you're on the road for a month, is a very important.
Yeah, it's a blessed day.
Positions to be in. Like to
call the shots.
Yeah, and it's just like it also just to the like in when you're on all these long trips, you're working on things for years. You're with the same guys. The like I'm sure it started from some sort of not an inside joke, but like. The reason why it's a cowboy hat, like, all these little, like, things that you only get when you're with people for a long period of time kind of going crazy.
Mm-hmm,
It's like you're driving around with a fucking cowboy hat with drawing with lines on it and pins and shit. Going to the liquor store with it on and, like, most people are like, what the fuck is this?
Okay, this one's from Eric Swisher from Crumball Incident. He said, hey Anthony, with Jason being so hands-on with the graphics of FA and the two of you always having such great senses of humor, are there any examples of good in-jokes the crew may have had that wound up on a graphic or in a collage that only you guys would know about? Hope all is well.
Trying to think like of anything like very like, I mean, everything Dill really has always taken a lot of time to make people's graphics really reflect their personality, and so he would probably be able to answer that question even better than I would, but I can't think of anything off the top of the head that's like like a story. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like all my graphics, like they're very much just, all of them have meant something personally to me, like because they're very much, shit I'm into or whatever, but I can't really think of like a... I'm sure there is one.
Yeah.
No, nothing that really sticks out. Yeah.
Okay. This one is from Chris Carter. He said, what is your best Fred Gall story?
Well, there's some I probably can't even tell, but I'm trying to think. There was a really funny one. It was just like a funny story. Like, I obviously have some that are more crazy, but I remember being in Cincinnati. We had come off a month-long trip with Carter and Hill. I think it was like we were filming for photosynthesis. It was one of our first trips for that video, and we were they had rented like a RV, so we toured in this like RV, which was pretty cool because they had like a table. We were playing cards and shit between cities and places we were going, and anyways, it ended in Cincinnati, and we stayed at I think we stayed out there, and we were at Joe Castrucci's house, and that was the first time I'd ever met Freddy. Was on that trip, so I really got to know him on that trip, and Freddy was Freddy. I mean, he showed up. Remember, he came on. We picked him up at the airport. Both hands had, I don't know how many stitches in them, and the palms. I don't know what he did, like if he broke a bottle or. But it's just like, oh, dude, like Fred Gall, and then like he get and he's got cut up hands with stitches all over him. Just like, dude, this guy's fucking gnarly.
Yeah.
And then like first spot, like we got out and he just attacked it. He got like a couple, like he did the line. I think that is the opening of his part. Where it's in Tennessee and Nashville, I think, where he ollies into that big roll-in thing. And then does a nollie back 180. Switch 180 5-0 down the rail or something. I see, That was like the fucking day we picked him up from the airport, I think. But anyways, so it's not necessarily one story, but it was this whole trip. And Freddy, you know, it's like, yeah, he's partying through the whole thing. And, you know, we ended up at Joe Castrici's house. And I remember we were stoned out of our minds, me, Jason, and Fred. And Fred had fallen asleep, but we were making these like microwave pizzas or toaster oven pizzas. And Fred likes pepper. Like he puts like pounds of pepper on everything, right? So anyway, he had fallen asleep on the ground, but he had this pizza, right, with all this pepper and shit in it. And like I think we just put it right next to his head. And we're like stoned watching TV or something, me and Jason, and then this guy starts sneezing because of the pepper.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this guy sneezed, I shit you not, 50 times in his sleep. In his sleep. I mean, we were laughing like when there's no sound that's coming out anymore. You know, you're laughing so hard, you're not even making a noise. Like, that's how ridiculous it was. And he kind of started to like hit the pizza with his hands. Like, thinking back, I'm like, was he fucking with us? Like, it was like a bear or some shit, you know, like, because the way he was like kind of like hitting the pizza with his hands and like sneezing, but he was asleep still. It was crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but
so funny. Well, actually, this next question is from Fred Gall. He said, ask him if Fred Gall has ever slept in his bed.
Fred Gall has slept in my bed. I remember one time, I know the time he was talking about. No, I came home and I had a girl with me, so I got lucky. And I came home. We had this shitty apartment in L.A. and Freddie was staying with me, and he'd been staying with me for a while. And I come home and I'm like, Fred, get it. He's in my bed asleep, passed out, drunk. And I was, Fred, get up. And then he's like, get out of here. He like rolls over and he's just totally naked, right? I'm just like, oh, fuck, dude. Like, and I couldn't get him out of the bed, you know? And I remember the girl I was with, it's like, get him out of your bed. And I was just like, fuck, I tried, I can't. What am I gonna do? Throw him on the floor? Like, he ain't moving, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. So funny.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
All right. This one's from Geoff Rowley. He said, ask him why he skates so fast. Is there a reason, a person, an influence?
No, I think that's just naturally what I do. I don't know. But I feel like everybody I feel like Geoff skates fast.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah, definitely.
You know? I don't know. I mean, I guess, you know, it looks better. It feels better. It just seems the better way to go.
Sure.
And, yeah, I guess people I looked up to, you know, is like always like more interested in somebody who would like grind through, you know, 10 feet of a ledge versus, you know, 2 feet of it, you know, so you're going to need some speed for that. So I think as that was the kind of skating I liked and wanted to do, I just was like, well, you're going to have to pick up the speed here.
Yeah.
It just kind of became part of my thing.
All right. Let's see.
Hey, Anthony, this is Jaime Owens. Hope all is well, brother. My question is going to be about the DC video premiere. You were wearing some very stylish zebra skin cowboy boots that night. Did you get those boots just for the premiere night? And do you still own them? Thanks.
I can't remember if I just got them for the premiere night. I don't think I ever wore them again, though.
Okay. There's this famous photo of you, like, kind of playing air
wasted.
guitar or something.
Yeah, no, I started the night off with a handful of Xanax and a bottle of tequila, so that wasn't good.
Yeah.
It was bad. And then I woke up in jail, so...
Oh, yeah, wow.
Yeah, it was a rough night, so I think maybe that's why I didn't wear those boots ever again. I was just like, man, those things are fucking...
Bad luck, yeah.
I'm going to get into trouble with those.
Yeah. Okay, this one is from Nathan Fletcher.
Oh, wow.
So he said, ask him about Ozfest and the eggs. He should get a kick out of that, and please tell him I love him.
Nathan's awesome. Ozfest, yeah. He got his buddy could get his hands on really good backstage tickets, and so we did that, and we got backstage, and we're just cruising around, and like everyone's kind of back there, like, you know, band members, family members, and it was a huge, I mean, backstage at Ozfest is like a parking lot with like all kinds of shit going on. And I run into Kelly Osbourne, and I'm with Nate and our friend Matt Philly, and it was more his friend that he grew up with, but it's the three of us. And she's like, "Hey, Anthony, will you and your friends do my dad a favor?" It's like, I had never met Ozzy. The reason I knew her was through Jason, because he was good friends with Jack and Mikey, my other partner in FA.
Yep.
So at the early 2000s, I had met Kelly and Jack, and I'd been over to the house. I never met Ozzy personally. I seen him, had met Sharon once or twice. So anyways, I was like, yes, like, we'll do anything. Like, what's he need, you know? And Nate had brought a couple vinyls with him. And I don't know how, well, I guess we knew we were going to be backstage, and maybe there'd be an opportunity to get something signed by Ozzy. So he had these couple vinyls with him, and I was like, we'll do anything. You got to get Nate's vinyl signed by your dad. She's like, okay, done. She takes the bag, and she's like, comes back. She's like, okay, so like Iron Maiden's been like talking shit on Black Sabbath every time, because Black Sabbath closes it out. Iron Maiden was before Sabbath was the last band, and they would be like, all right, like they'd be done with their set, and they'd be like, okay, now get ready for the fucking old dinosaurs, like kind of, I guess, like making fun of Sabbath at all these a couple stops.
Yeah.
And she's like, we'll put you guys right down in the front, and we're gonna give you some shit to throw at Iron Maiden when they come out. And we're like, all right, cool, no problem. So, but in this like 20 or 30 minutes before Iron Maiden's set, like they had literally recruited the entire back parking lot, which was hundreds of people. And someone went to the store, got all kinds of like fucking eggs and just nasty shit and like all kinds of just stuff like to throw. And then it's like 5 minutes, 10 minutes before we got escorted down to the stage, staring up, like I was literally, my hand was on the stage, and Iron Maiden comes like running out. It's like fucking Run for the Hills, just like first song, and like everybody just starts chucking all these eggs and just pelting these guys with fucking eggs, and it was insane. And I threw all the shit I had, and I was just like, oh my God, first off, like these guys sound incredible, because they just played right through it.
Okay.
And then I was just like, then I had the moment where I was just like, I just threw fucking eggs at Bruce Dickinson and Iron Maiden. Like, what the fuck? It's just fucking, there's something wrong with this,
Yeah.
And I think they got like their set got cut short. They got the plug pulled on them because they were pissed. They played that song, and then they said something, and then I think they played like half a more song, and then fucking I think Sharon fucking pulled the plug on them, and it got cut short. I'm pretty sure. I don't know how short it was. I can't remember, but and then Sabbath came on, and then we were just fucking down in that spot, like right on the thing, like for the entire Sabbath show.
Amazing.
Yeah, which was incredible. It was definitely a memorable experience. That was Ozfest 2005 in Riverside, I think. I don't know, but yeah, that was epic.
Okay, this one is from Neal Shoemaker, who worked on the AVE 2.0, right? Designer of Advance. He said, what now destroyed spot do you miss the most, and anything that you tried to get or wanted to try that you can't anymore?
There used to be this spot. It was really a short-lived spot, and even if it was like skatable this entire time, I don't even know how good it would be anymore, but it was like during Propeller, and it was like on where the fuck was that spot? It's like Western, below Santa Monica Boulevard. We called it Third World because it was like, it felt like being in a third world country. Like it was just such like a part of LA where it's just like everybody's walking on the street there is just fucked, like the spot's fucked. And I had a line there in Propeller. I switch ollie over a shopping cart, and then I switch 180 50 a wall, like a cinder block wall. And then I switch 50 180
back
all the way around. Yeah. But it was really, it's like, and I love spots like that where they're like almost not even spots, but they are, because it was that wall. When we first started skating, it was just so rough and fucked.
Yeah, rugged.
And we just started skating it. And there was a double-sided curb a little ways down. So that was more the draw to go there at first. But then it was like, oh, you could kind of maybe fuck with this wall. And then it had that fence so close to it too, which made it kind of like weird and awkward too. But we would go there all the time and just turn into this like spot we went to. And it was kind of short-lived. I feel like it was only like maybe 4 months, but we'd skate there all the time. And it was just like, there's always just fucking trash everywhere and, tweakers and like just crazy shit going on. But that spot was rad, and then it went away. And now it's like a big, ugly fucking Target. But, yeah. It was a cool spot. I wish it would have lasted longer.
This one is from Grant Taylor. He said, I'm curious how many PSPs he has gone through during the minefield days. At one point, we were driving down the highway and he chucked it out the window. I think he lost money to Atiba. I don't remember exactly. We all had them. I think they had a poker game. Not sure. But he definitely went through a few.
Yeah, I only chucked one out the window. I think it was like Heath and Dylan. And I guess Grant must have been in the van. I don't remember Atiba being in there. But we were playing Texas Hold'em, linking them all together. So we're playing poker on them and betting real money.
Okay, oh wow.
And yeah, I think I just kept losing, and I just fucking opened the van door and threw it out the window. Something like that. But I only think I did that once. Those things were like, and I think I did it more as like just a joke, I wasn't super upset. This is more of a fucking fuck these guys and threw it out the window, just to get a reaction. Yeah.
Okay. This one's from Mike Piscitelli. One of your co-founders of FA in hockey. He said, did you talk to anyone about quitting workshop besides Dill before making the choice to leave and turn FA into a board company? In the first few years, did you ever have doubts that you made the wrong decision?
I didn't. Let's see, did I talk to anybody besides Dill? I mean, I was probably talking to Benny a lot at that time. Benny was probably in all those conversations. There was never a moment where I was like, oh, I've made the wrong decision. I mean, we definitely had, moments that were like difficult, in the sense of like, me and Dill are great friends, but we can butt heads too, and we certainly did out the gate, because Dill's very, FA was his thing, artistically, and his vision of the team and all of these things, you know what I mean? And so rightfully so, before I had anything to do with it, but once it became a skate thing, like I had some opinions. So I think for Jason, it was like really, I mean, he there was a long time period where I think the initial doing it and then making boards and just being so exposed to what everybody's opinion of things, like everybody wants to say like, I don't give a fuck what people think. Well, it's like, well, no, like, people do, and especially in our small world, you know what I mean? So I think it kind of drove him crazy at first, and he would kind of like retreat and be hard to kind of access, and like be like, I'd call, what the fuck's going on? Like whatever it might've been. And, so I think at first that was some of the tough parts about doing it, was our relationship and like kind of that dynamic. And, but I never had a moment where I was like, fuck, I should have just stayed on the workshop. Like that, when that was done, like that era and that time, like it had come to it was time.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just like when, got asked to ride for Vans at a time period that some people were like, geez, you quit DC? Like at that time, that was the stuff, like that was it, you know what I mean? Like, you're writing for Vans, like, like that's a weird move, But I knew, aside from that's what I want to skate, but I also just like...
You felt it was the right place to be.
Yeah, I felt like that was just the right thing. And then it, certainly was in skateboarding at that time because it took a huge shift towards that direction of shoes, Yep. And same with FA. I just knew. I was just like, it's time and this is perfect. So I never really looked back on that.
Mm-hmm. Mike also asked, what do you think is the biggest misconception people have about how we operate FA in hockey?
I don't know. I think people's misconception typically is that people think that I'm not going to say like, as individuals who are owners of this company and it's had quite an impact and now we've been around for 12 years and stuff. I think along the way, but people from the outside see the success of other things, you know what I mean? From a financial standpoint, I think people just assume, that we're all fucking rich,
Loaded.
And like, and it's just like, dude, owning a business and a company, and especially in skateboarding is, don't get me wrong, we've had some great
success but
we've also it doesn't come without the other side of things too, but by no means it's like, I think that is the misconception that I don't necessarily hear it from people. I mean, I kind of have, but you almost kind of feel it from them, and you're just like, dude, you have no fucking clue. You know what I mean? Like, skateboarding's a tough business.
Oh,
it really is,
especially nowadays. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anything that's like, I feel like on the kind of that's based in like youth. It's just like music, every 10 years everything changes, If you think about decades of like music and skateboarding is the same because you cycle through that generation, So it's skateboarding's it can be tough,
All right, let's see. This one's from Catherine Acosta. She said, since you are one of the founders of both FA and hockey, what is your point of view on skateboarding's relationship to street style and therefore fashion?
What is my... I don't know. I don't know. I don't design the clothes, but I mean, I guess, skateboarding has always definitely influenced...
Fashion?
I guess, trends. I would say... From the time I started in the, kind of going through the early 90s till now, like you definitely always was aware when you saw it cross over into the mainstream, kind of like, big cutoff pants, whatever it was, cargo pants. Like that was huge, like 89, 90. Like, I mean, remember ghetto wear, like fucking, they were like basically army cargo pants and cargo shorts, Matt Hensley, like... It was just such an era of fucking cargo pants. And then, then you fast forward like 3 years and it's just like you go to like a fucking Banana Republic and everything's cargo pants. But So skateboarding always, I think, has a big impact on kind of trends and fashion and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But it's also stays very the same in a lot of ways too,
This one is from Eric Dressen. So let's see, he said, from Abe's Instagram stories, I see he is into gravel bike riding. How did he get into it? What kind of gravel bike setup does he have? And where does he like to ride? And how far does he usually ride?
So I got I have a Santa Cruz gravel bike. And I got it in right when COVID started. Mm-hmm. And I kind of discovered when we were on a trip, we were skating some spot and there was a bike store, like a mountain bike store. And me and John Fitzgerald went in there and I was like, what is this thing? Because it's like, it looks like a road bike, but then it's got a little bit beefier, like kind of aggressive tires on it. And the guy was like, oh, it's a gravel bike. And it's for, trails and shit. And I was like, oh, this thing's fucking sick. So it's kind of like a road bike, but a gravel, like dirt bike. So yeah, I was like, I'm gonna get one of these things. So I got it, and it's got like electronic shifters on it. It's crazy. I definitely invested some money into it, but I got it just because I don't know. I like more just like I'm like, oh, this is a fun way to exercise, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You know, and I would prefer to be on trails than roads. Even more fun, you know? So I just like got into riding. I mean, I don't know what the longest I've ridden is. Probably maybe like a 30-mile thing. Some people go way further and crazier with it, but lately I haven't even been riding trails. I put road tires on it, and I've been on the road with it more just because out my front door, it's just easier to be on the road instead of like I don't live close.
That's a good place to go. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, in the trail. So, but I kind of miss that too. I almost like want to get another set of tires so it's easier to switch it out. But I more got it as like a torture device for fitness. Like, because it kind of is that. Like when you see mountain bikers and you're out on the dirt trails, when I've talked to mountain bikers, they're just like, get a mountain bike, you know, like. And I get it, like, yeah, suspension and fucking all that stuff. Like, you're going to have a lot nicer time out there. But, like, I got it because it's a challenge, you know, to ride a bike like that on technical dirt trails and climb steep dirt hills and stuff like that. It's just kind of just something I thought I would be into. And I've had that bike for like 5 years now. And I've ridden it quite a bit. So.
Okay, this one's from Brendan Mallough. He said, ask him if he was going to spit a freestyle rap, what would be his opening line?
Oh, God. Yeah, we used to do that shit when we were kids. I started some stupid rap, and I said my rhymes flow like wind chimes. That's what I said to him, and he never let me live that one down. That's why he called me and said that to me yesterday. He's like, do you remember that time? And I was like, yeah, how could I forget that shit? You never let me forget that.
All right, let's do this one.
Hey, Anthony, it's Jacob Rosenberg. As always, you know, such a big fan of your skating and your energy and ethos around skating and that commitment. Just when you're on the board, there's such a feeling that you communicate to people who are watching you. I'd love to hear you talk about like a working relationship with a filmer and a filmmaker, you know, like Greg Hunt. You know, what's it like in the session, you know, when you're filming? What's it like, you know, sort of waiting to see the edit come together? And then what's it like when you reflect on it? Anything in that process with the relationship with a filmer that you've developed over time, I would just love to hear you talking about that. Respect.
Yeah, no, Greg, I think that's why me and Greg work so well together. I think we're both can be pretty intense people. And when we lock into something like a project or whatever, it becomes all consuming and kind of the only goal, right? And every step along the way. So I got really lucky too. Like it just seemed like Greg moved, like, I don't even know if it was a conscious thing, but we always ended up with the same company that was embarking on a big project together, you know what I mean? And I know for him to go from DC to Workshop, there's just going to be way more creative freedom there, which I think for someone like Greg is what he wanted at that time. And then obviously the team you get to work with, right, to do one of those videos. But yeah, I was so lucky. Like I went from DC, then the Workshop, then he went to Vans from there. You know, so that was, God, I don't know if it was like almost nearly 15 years of working with one guy, you know. And yeah, I think, you know, with Greg, it's like he would show up and give you the best he's got every time. And so it's like if you needed that and you're in this like working relationship with somebody, that's what he gave. So it's like, and then, you know, like I think, like I said, with the intensity of both of us, like it really worked well because, you know, once I kind of locked into some of these projects, like I was down for whatever.
Yeah.
Going on a month trip, cool. We're on the road for a month. I don't care. Like, I'll stay out till 5 a.m. I'll go back to this trick 300 times or whatever it takes, and he'd do the same, you know.
Yeah,
so
we're all in. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, so that dynamic is great, and it's almost like you can't have one without the other, you know, like all these people and these kind of worlds gotta meet together with that same intensity to kind of get some of those projects done, you know. But I miss those times, you know, the kind of intensity, because when you were done with those videos, like you weren't the same. Like, it was like, because there were such long periods of time, and then, like, you know, you live a certain way for so long, like, and I wouldn't say that it was always necessarily healthy, like, for sure not. It's very not a well-rounded life. It's a very obsessive, compulsive, unbalanced existence when you're just 100% like fucking skateboarding and hanging out wherever in the middle of the night fucking with the same group of people for 5 years, and that's all you are doing, you know. So but they also are, like, you know, obviously so stoked to have worked with people like Greg and the skaters that I've been able to be with and to have those times, you know.
When Greg started editing your part, for example, for DC or Vans or for Minefield, did he like kind of show you some of his editing, or did you kind of leave it in his hands and say, I trust you, like, just do whatever you want with it?
Oh yeah, that's another thing with Greg too, and I think it always helps me do better. It's like, when I can just totally trust, which means I'm not even thinking about it, like, is this dude gonna hit record every time the right way? You know what I mean? Like, after I've been trying this trick for, you know, 3 hours, you know, and this is the 4th time back, you know, like, I never think about that. Like, he's as committed as I am in those moments that are, like, so important for you to not have to ever think about something like that.
Sure.
And then as a final product thought too, it's like, yeah, I know Greg's gonna do a great job. I know Benny's going to do a great job. Like, it's going to be better than whatever I think it's going to be. That's all good. But yeah, along the way, he would show me stuff because I was always very like picked my music, you know? So that would be the only thing where he would show me how things look to the music, you know? And then sometimes you don't get the music you want. So then you gotta change it. So I was always very much like, that was probably the biggest input that I had was the music and if it worked or not for me. But as far as like the editing and everything else, like I just trust those guys to do it. And even now I would like, if I had a video part coming out right now, I wouldn't even, I might suggest some music, but I would tell Benny, like, you pick whatever you think works for this. Cause at this point, like, you know, like even the thing we did, the FA part I did back in 2020 that came out.
Yeah, on Dancing on Thin Ice.
Yeah, like that was Benny, you know, everything. I was just, I threw some things at him, but ultimately I was like, whatever you think, you know, because these guys, I think they see even beyond, like, you know, it's like the song that Benny found and picked and used for it, like, at first I was like, okay, like, whatever, I'm down. And then now when I see it, I was like, oh, that was like the perfect thing for that now, you know what I mean? Like, but he saw that before I could even fully see that, you know? And so it's kind of just, with guys like that, it's just good to just let them fucking do their thing, you know?
Well, speaking of Greg, he asked the next question. He said, it's been a long time since we've skated and traveled together, but there are certain things that still remind me of you. One of them is the eggs and cheddar protein box at Starbucks. The one with the dry biscuit that you'd always throw out the window. Are you still eating those? Also, what have you currently been doing to keep in shape? I've always admired how well you took care of yourself. Thanks for your friendship and trust over the years.
The Starbucks protein box, man, that thing's probably so toxic. It's like wrapped in plastic, And then it's got these 2 hard-boiled eggs in it, and God knows where things were probably made in a fucking petri dish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't eat those anymore. I mean, if I have to, I guess I would, but I kind of am a little bit more planned out these days. Like I bring my shit from home, so I'm not having to stop at Starbucks and do one of those. But God, I ate thousands of them. They were kind of like the perfect, like food snack thing. Like if you're hungry, but you're out skating. Maybe you're going to try a trick, but you've already been out for a few hours. Somebody else was doing something, and then you get hungry. It was like one of these things, like 2 eggs, the peanut butter packet, the fruit. It's like just enough to like give you, okay, I got good energy. I'm not hungry, but I don't feel full.
Yeah,
so that's
exactly.
like the word.
Yeah.
Like you can't just go eat a big ass, lunch and then go try a trick. Like, so it's always like, I feel like when you're out in the street, you're just kind of like always kind of like putting a little bit in the tank to keep the levels right. Same with the caffeine.
Yeah.
So it's like on a caffeine drip all day and light snacking. So that was the Starbucks protein pack was the ultimate of lunch to help you do all that shit. But I don't really fuck with those things anymore. Try not to eat non-organic eggs anymore.
Okay.
There's just too much bad shit that I've come to learn about that they're putting in all this food.
For sure.
But and what else did he ask?
About working out, basically. And, actually, Diego Tara sent me a question for you that was along those same lines, because he said you should ask him about his workout routine and diet to be able to skate in his 40s. And that's basically kind of what Greg was asking about as well. So
yeah, I mean I kind of started working out when I got introduced to it through injury. So it was like when I first got a couple ankle surgeries and stuff. It was like you do rehab after, and that's not super intense. Rehab is always very like it's a gradual thing. Then next you're on the exercise bike, you're doing this and that. But I mean, an injury, I also like start putting on weight if I wasn't doing things. So then I started being like, well, fuck, why not just like you're hurt or you can't skate, but you can go ride the exercise bike for 20 miles, you know what I mean? It takes an hour. It's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. What does it look like to do 100 push-ups a day? What does it look like to do 200 push-ups? I got all the time. Why not be in shape when it's time to skate again? So just be a fucking pile with you focused on your ankle, like great, but the rest of you fell apart.
Yeah.
So then you just become, like I do with anything, I'm obsessive compulsive. It doesn't matter what it is. So then I just get into it, right?
Yeah, you go all in.
Then once you open that door, you can't really live without it.
Yeah.
So, and now more than anything, as much as, the side effect is I get to stay in shape, but really it helps my mentals a lot.
Yeah,
too.
well, yeah.
But now at my age, skating, like if I just get up, take my kids to school and then get in the car, drive up to LA and get out of the car at 11 and without stretching, without having done anything, I feel insane.
Yeah.
Now, I have to work out so that when I show up to skate, I actually feel somewhat decent and good and things are moving, So a lot of that is riding the bicycle because it doesn't tax me, but it's like a good
cardio.
A good workout. And then I do other things too. I'm in the gym a lot. I do a lot of just more body weight exercises. I don't lift a lot of weights. I never found that to be super beneficial to skating. It taxes you, and I'm not really interested in getting bulky or I want to have high endurance. I want to be strong, but I'm not being super strong isn't my main concern. It's endurance, because I'm not the guy who shows up and gets a trick and, a couple tries. Everything is
a battle,
all out war and it takes everything I got. So I've kind of always kind of endurance, high intensity training is kind of what I've gravitated towards, and it gives you the biggest buzz too, mentally. So,
sure.
Yeah, that's what I do. I do all kinds of shit.
Do you usually work out first thing in the morning? Because I think you wake up very early, right? Like around 5 or 6 or something?
Yeah, I get up around either 4:30 or 5. Basically, because I usually want to get that workout in, and my kids are up around 6:15, and then it's like making lunches and breakfast and getting ready to go to school, and like so all attention's on them. So I used to not wake up that early, but once I had kids and I was like getting up into that chaos, like waking up at 6 with them, and it's like, oh my God, peanut butter and jelly sandwich, trying to get a coffee in me. Like I was just like, after the first 6 months, I mean, obviously my daughter wasn't going to school when she was 6 months old, but it was a whole bunch of other stuff. But I was like, man, I gotta make an adjustment here. Like I can't wake up like this. Like I gotta get out ahead of everybody. Because I need a moment.
For sure,
so,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, so it was like 5 o'clock, like, and then in the past couple of years, and I got to set my alarm for the 4:31. Like 5, I probably pretty much just wake up. Like, I'm so used to it now. Yeah, but...
what time do you usually go to sleep? Like early, I assume? Like 8 or 9 or something around?
I should ask my wife. Like last night, she was just like, fuck, I think I fell asleep at 7:30. We were watching a movie.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, but no, 9 is usually I gotta go to bed. But if I sit down and start watching a movie at like 8, like
you're gonna pass out pretty soon.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, no, 4:30 is like good for me because I can kind of get up, drink my coffee, sit around for a half hour, and I'll read something, and then I got an hour I can get some sort of workout in. And usually I can get like 15 miles in on my bike, or if I ride the bike at home, like the stationary, I can put in an hour. Or like sometimes if I'm too beat up from skating, I live close to the ocean, I'll just walk the beach.
Oh, nice. Like, okay. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Go for a swim?
Yeah, and then jump into like ice cold water for like 5 minutes, whatever. But when I'm doing all that stuff, like if I start my day that way, like it's gonna be a good day.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna skate better. I'm gonna all of that stuff. So it's really like all towards skating, really. Like still trying to do it and just feeling good, and it's just now it's just habit. I've been doing it for so long.
Do you do that every single day, or do you have days where you just, wake up like later and not exercise?
Yeah, no, for sure. I like usually on Sundays I kind of sleep in. I just don't even have an alarm or anything. But sleeping in's like 6,
7 or
6 or 7.
Still
like
quite early. Yeah.
Yesterday I slept till 7, and that I hadn't done that in a while, and it felt great. I mean, but yeah, I don't do it every single day, and then the intensity varies. Like I said, like I might choose to get up at 5 one morning, and then I'll just walk the beach. I'm not just I'm moving. I'm not doing anything crazy, but I still get out ahead of the kids, and then when they wake up, then they can get all the attention they need.
Yeah, exactly. And you've had some time to yourself to exercise and do other shit, and you're like more available for that.
I'm already prepared for the day instead of just trying to figure my shit out while I'm doing theirs.
All right. This one's from Jonathan Mering. He said to ask you about the time you went to the Turkish side of Cyprus.
I remember that trip. I don't even remember that really. I feel like we weren't even over there that long.
Is that where he shot that photo of you with doing the feeble, right? The corner feeble that became a meme thing and everything?
Yeah. That spot was incredible. I wonder if it's still there. I don't think I've ever seen footage from there since that trip. I mean, that place was made out of the craziest marble. I don't think that was on the Turkish side. I don't even know. I feel like we just went over to that side really kind of briefly one day, and I barely remember it. But I totally forget that Mering was even on that trip. But now that you say it, I remember now that he was. And yeah, that was a cool trip.
What year was that? Do you remember?
I mean, it was really early on in Propeller. So I think it was probably like
2012, 2011 maybe, or?
Yeah, something like that. When did Minefield come out? 2010?
Minefield was 2009, I believe.
Yeah, so it's probably 11. Yeah, something like that.
Okay, I have just a few last ones. This one is from Henry Sanchez. He said, with a heavy talent pool in skating, what advice would you give a hard-working kid who is trying to stand out from the crowd?
The one thing I learned, and I learned it from being around some of the greatest skateboarders, and I always thought, like, you know, I mean, they are incredibly talented. That's without a question. But, like, you know, I got to skate with, like, Danny Way, Heath Kirchart, Guy Mariano. I mean, these are, like, the greats, you know?
For
like,
sure,
and
yeah.
I was like, oh, wow, like, yes, these people are fucking talented, but the one thing that they all have in common is that they will work for it until they do it. And it doesn't matter how long it takes, how many times you got to go back. Like, there's just this constant, like,
dedication or perseverance.
Dedication and just work ethic, like, of like, no matter what, they're going to do whatever they want to do, you know? And I learned that from watching them. Because I always just thought people were just fucking naturally talented, you know? I was just like, oh no, like there's a lot more going on to this. It's actually like, you know. Work, so yeah, I guess to anybody who really cares to like try to pursue skating and be good at it and wants to make a career out of it is like hard work. It kind of trumps everything else.
Yeah.
You know? Like straight up, like even if you're not that good, like I wouldn't say like I'm extremely talented. What I learned to do is work really hard because, like I said, any fucking trick I try is just like they're like these like mini wars. You know, like some tricks take me, you know, long periods of time of going back and back and back and back to get it. And I think when I was younger, I would get frustrated really quick, and I thought like, well, I should already, you know, fucking have landed this. I should have already done it, you know what I mean? And I would just, my anger would take over and I'd break my board and you know, just not stay there with it and like just keep pressing forward. And I kind of started to seeing other guys learn like fucking lock in and all you gotta do is your best, you know? Like you don't have to walk away with the trick to feel accomplished, you know? Like if I battle something for 2.5, 3 hours and don't get it, I come home just as happy as if I got it, you know, because like I gave it everything I had, you know, like
okay.
for today, and I'll go back. So
the frustration doesn't really kind of.
I mean, I'll still get frustrated, you know what I mean, but like I have way better ability to kind of control that. But yeah, I mean, shit, I don't give a shit who you are when you. I mean, that's the thing, too. It's like all these people I talk about, like I've seen them all get, you know, frustrated, too, you know. But just losing your mind, you know, like just like, fuck, I can't get it. Like, it's just like, oh, man, like it was such a, you know, I had to stop doing that.
Yeah. It's not helping you to do that. Yeah, it's,
Yeah, so I guess, you know, like ultimately any advice I have is just like, if you work hard enough for it, you can pretty much have whatever you want, you know? Kind of works in any area of life, too.
All right. I think it's very quick, this one.
Hi. Wait, what's harder, being a father or a professional skateboarder?
Keith?
Yes.
Keith Wager?
Yes.
What's harder, being a father or a professional skateboarder?
Yeah, it was quite noisy. I think he was probably with his kids in the park or something,
Well, I don't know. I mean, my kids aren't teenagers yet, so I don't know. I might have a different answer for this down the road. But
for sure.
So far, skateboarding is a harder journey than fatherhood has been for me. Okay. I also had my kids later. If I would have had my kids when I was young, I mean, it would have been fucking crazy, but...
Would have been different for sure, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, but yeah, like I said, I don't know. They're not teenagers yet. I mean, shit might get harder.
You have a few more years of semi-peace, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see, this one is kind of original. This guy sent me a photo. I'll try to send it to you here. Let's see.
Let's see. Mark Gonzalez.
Yep.
Yes. Does being a parent mean that you skate less? When you do skate, does it mean more to you? Would you name a trick after one of your kids? If so, what kind of trick?
I love that he did it that way. It's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, Mark's awesome.
Yeah, he's the best.
Does being a parent mean you skate less? I don't know. Maybe sometimes a little, but not really. I mean, there's only so much you can skate, like, and I still get out a lot, you know. And you know, my kids are in school, and my wife, fortunately, you know, gets to focus all her attention on the kids. So you know, I get to still get out and do it a lot. I suppose if I didn't have kids, I might probably skate a little bit more, but not really. When you do skate, does it mean more to you? I think for sure that, like, you know, like when it's like Saturday's always such a good day to go skate and film or whatever, be out and do it because things are closed and you just get more opportunities at different things that you wouldn't during the week.
Right.
So, but I also know that when I'm not home on Saturday, it's like, you know, most dads or whatever, they work during the week and then they spend the time with the family on the weekend. So I know that I'm not doing that. Most Sundays I do. So when I do go out and skate, like, I think it definitely, I approach it since having kids with a lot more like importance of like why I'm there to do it instead of just hanging out, you know, because if I'm just hanging out, well, I'd rather be going and just hanging out with my kids, you know?
Yeah.
And spending time with them. Because like I said earlier, it's like, I'm noticing how fast this shit goes, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, skateboarding means more to me when I go to do it. It's more important while I'm there as to, like, I don't know if calling it a job necessarily, but making it count, you know? Not that I don't like hanging out with everybody and bullshit, and I still do that too sometimes, but I'd say more often than not, it's got a purpose in mind.
Yeah, sure.
Would you name a trick after one of your kids? If so, what kind of trick? I mean, for sure I would. We're gonna have to cross that bridge when we get there. I think it's gonna have to be something that you know, if they kind of maybe one of them makes a trick up or something. Like, we'll see. It's definitely not gonna be a trick that I make up. So we'll see. My daughter's like skating and has kind of gotten into it. So
cool.
We'll see where she takes it. Maybe we'll get an Aria flip or grind one of these days.
All right, and to wrap this up, I have a question from Ray Barbie. He said, Anthony, you're the man. I have so much respect for your ability to ride a skateboard, especially your fire and drive. What keeps it burning so strong?
It's because I don't have a plan B.
Yeah, circling back to our earlier question.
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, sometimes I'm like, you know, it's all I know. It's all I've ever done. So I hold on to it for dear life because I'm like always, you know, driven by fear of like when it's over, you know? So, you know, I keep trying to make myself worthy of the position, you know? But yeah, sometimes I get to this point where I'm like, fuck, man, I'm getting like older. Am I like losing my mind here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I can still do it. So I give it the and I think for me and everything I've been through and learned, to show up and to do it to the best of my ability is showing the gratitude for
what it's
kind of
provided
the gift that it is.
Yeah,
you know, because I mean, I've experienced ups and downs in skating, and I mean, I've hated it at times. I get so burned out, you know, just like I can't do it anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But the reality is like, oh, what a life, you know?
Yeah.
So if people still believe in me, people still are, you know, I can still make a living from it, then I try to give it what it deserves.
Yeah.
You know? And not just kind of like milk it, you know? So, but, you know, it takes, you know, sometimes I have to go through adjustments to kind of refocus on that just kind of basic principle, which is again, it's just gratitude. You know, when I'm burned out, I'm usually having a gratitude problem. You know what I mean? I'm not seeing things right, you know? So I think that's, you know, it's like, yeah, like it's all I've ever known. It's all I've ever done. So, you know, that's what kind of drives me to kind of still do it. And also it's pretty amazing. I guess I should just do it for as long as I can. You know?
Yeah. Well, please do. We want to see it.
I'm trying. I broke this shoulder 2 weeks ago, so I gotta go deal with that.
Yeah. How's it healing? Are you feeling okay? Yeah.
It's a little clicky. I mean, I'm getting surgery on Friday.
Oh, wow, okay.
But I don't think it's going to be like a crazy thing. I think
rehab process.
6 to 8 weeks or something. We'll see.
Okay. But, can you still skate? But I assume maybe, yeah.
No.
If you fall on your shoulder, it's gonna...
Dude, the other day I was at the skate shop with my kids, and we were getting back in the car, and I went to try and grab my door to close it, and my shoulder went out of the socket.
Oh, shit.
So no, it was extremely painful and crazy, and I had to pull on my arm so that it would go back into the socket, and then I was just on ice the rest of the day. So no, if I fell on this thing, I don't even know what would happen.
Bad idea.
Arm would probably fucking fall off.
Yeah, let's not find out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna get it fixed.
Can you still do some form of exercise while it's healing up? Like, can you run or cycle or something like that?
Yeah, I'm riding my exercise bike.
Right.
So I'm stoked because anything else probably would have ended any type of exercise, which would be terrible.
Yeah, major bummer.
So I'm just hiking a lot and riding the bike, and I actually feel good. I've been losing weight because I'm probably riding the bike more than I normally do.
Okay. Burning a lot of calories.
I'm staying in shape. So, but I don't know, after the surgery, I don't know how long I kind of got to actually take it easy for, and maybe not be on the bicycle. So, but I don't think maybe too long. What do I know? But I'm thinking maybe in a week after the surgery, I'll be riding the bike again. Mm-hmm. Who knows? I'll maybe trying to do that 3 days later, but.
Doing push-ups the day after surgery?
No push-ups.
Not yet.
No.
Well, yeah, I hope it heals quick and fully, and let's wrap it up here. Thank you so much, Anthony.
Cool. Hey, thank you, man. Awesome. That was cool. Thanks for getting some pretty rad people, and also thank you to all those people that I haven't talked to even in years and stuff that took the time.
Yeah, no, my pleasure, and thanks to all of them, for contributing these questions. That was pretty cool. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Thank you,
bud. Appreciate it.
That's it for my conversation with Anthony. Follow him on Instagram at Ave, that's AVE. Go watch and rewatch all of his video parts from the last 30 years and keep an eye out for his upcoming projects. If you haven't seen it already, I highly recommend you check out his amazing epically layered piece from 2024. This episode wraps up the first 100 episodes of Beyond Boards. Thank you to all the guests I've had the privilege of interviewing over the last 4 years, all the kind people who contributed surprise questions, and most importantly, huge thanks to all the listeners around the world for tuning in. See you soon for episode 101 of Beyond Boards.